Dear Berlinale followers, welcome. Welcome to this Berlinale Meets. I have the pleasure to introduce to you Bertrand Bonello. Bertrand,
hello.
It's a pleasure to have you with us with your new film at the festival. The film is called Coma. You were at the festival some years ago, but this film to me related more with the previous ones you have done, Zombie Child and Nocturama in particular. Well, first of all, because you focus on young people, teenagers, but also maybe because you are trying to explore the universe. So I would like to ask you something about how do you consider Coma in relation to your previous one, which are different, but production-wise and style-wise also.
Yes, you're totally right. For me, like the last three films, Nocturama, Zombie Child, and Coma, is like a trilogy on young people, youth, and it's going to be the last one after I'm moving to something else. And but they're very different. They're very different, and this one is much more focused on what's in the mind of a young girl, 18 years old young girl, which is the age, you know, when life starts, you know. Mm-hmm. It's more a mental film in a way. Basically, the film is a young girl on her bed, you know, like in a boat, and everything that is in her mind. You know, the only real thing is the young girl. The rest is her dreams, her nightmares, her fears, her joy. This is how I built the film.
But that tells a lot also about how probably we do all perceive reality nowadays. I know that the film doesn't want to target life and lockdown, but at the same time it refers very much about the sense of the reality is fading away. We have problem grasping reality, and maybe kids, they have that feeling in a more vivid way. I don't know.
Exactly. It's lockdown is not the subject, but it's done during the lockdown, and it's really included in the film. But lockdown is, you know, you're not going out, you know, so you're really inside and inside your head. And I used that to make the film even more mental. That girl, she doesn't meet anyone except by FaceTime or whatever, you know. But FaceTime is not real, you know. So it's there is all this aspect in the film, what is real, what is not, many levels on unreal things, you know, that during the film, they start to mix each other. And at the end, you don't know what is in her head, what is in the computer. I started the film by a letter to my daughter, which is 18. In fact, it was a short movie I did like a year and a half ago, and I had a lot of, you know, moving response in that little film, so I decided to go further. And then I was watching some conferences of Gilles Deleuze, and I was watching this part when he says, never go inside the dream of someone, even if it's a very, very nice young girl. And then I had the film, you know, everything was clear for me. I could invent many worlds, you know. The YouTube channel, the forest, the dolls, you know, all these worlds could be, you know, they go from her, go from her mind, you know, and so I had all the different levels, you know, of her psyche.
What we like in your universe, not only in this film, but in this film for me it's really present and put on the foreground is the creativity, the desire, the wish to try new things. And in this film it seems to me that you allow yourself a greater freedom. There are stop motion scene, stop motion animated scene, there is the other reality, there is the work with the FaceTime. I think that's really, it's a process that gives a lot of freedom to a setting that, as you said at the beginning, is very locked. But I guess it must be a big challenge also editing-wise, or it was everything clear since the beginning for you?
But I think this freedom I really wanted and needed is really related to the lockdown, you know. You're so like in a prison that you want at least artistic forms to be as free as possible. And the relationship of, with cinema at that moment was very special for the audience who were cut out from the theaters, but also for the filmmakers. How are we going to make films now and after, And this is all part of the creation of Coma, I think. And freedom is one of my obsessions in life, but also in movies. And what's difficult is the more freedom you want, the more structure you need, not to be, n'importe quoi. And so yes, of course, the writing, but specifically the editing was a very fascinating part, but very difficult because we had to be so precise to keep the film going with so many aspects in it.
Also, in terms of tone, the film shifts from comedy. There are some comic elements. The character of Patricia Coma is, of course, very ironic. But also you have other genre elements, the death, the thriller, and the limbo scene. So I would like to ask you something about that, about because something very new it's to me, even in your cinema, to have all these different tone and genre and threads put together.
That was part of the beginning for me. It's what we call now like a hybrid film. You have some animation, you have some real scenes, you have some found footage, but I wanted the hybrid to be also in the genres. And even if there is something very dark in the film, it's far away my most funny film in many scenes. I wanted to allow myself that, through Patricia Coma, but also through the dolls. Are quoting Donald Trump and getting crazy and everything. The fact that you do something with animation, for example, 2Ds or 3Ds, allow you to be much more first degree, even in comedy. What the dolls are saying, I couldn't put it in the mouth of real characters, it'd be ridiculous. But with the dolls, it's okay, it's first degree, and I think it works.
And how do you work with your young actress, young protagonists? Some of them were in Zombie Chai, if I'm correct, maybe one? Or
Yes. Yeah. Most of them, yes.
Most of them, yeah. So how do you know already them? But I think it's more challenging to act like we are doing right now, only with the face. So I don't know, how do you work with them, if everything was easy or if there were many takes, sorry.
Very easy. First of all, the main character, Louise, I know her very well as we shot Zombie Child like 2 or 3 years ago. I really trust her, and I think she trusts me. And I know she's like in a couple of takes, she can act what's in her mind very simply, And it was really, everything was easy in this film, very pleasant. I think it was very small crew, 12 days of shooting. Like a small family, and we were really having a lot of pleasure doing this. It's a film that when we started with the producer Justin, we didn't have any partners. We decided to auto-produce the film, so we didn't have even some people to convince, except ourselves. And I think the freedom that there is in the film is also due to the way we produced it.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of movie that we are really, we see more and more, and we would like to embrace more and more, because the energy and the freedom that you can get in a small amount of time by preparing and doing and editing, it's really there in the film. On the other hand, I think that what makes the film grounded is the conceptual element that it stays around. You mentioned Deleuze before, and to me, I don't know if you agree, but sometimes I had the feeling, I thought to myself, a film that target the bedroom of a teenager is basically one of the biggest topics in American cinema. And on the other hand, to give you the other example of this word of reference, Patricia Coma with her tool remind me of Cronenberg, something that deals with us. So I don't know if what you had in mind to compose conceptually the universe that you are.
I had in mind like a kind of puzzle in a way, And when you put all the pieces of the puzzle at the end, you have face of a young girl. That's basically how I thought the film. But I like the fact that you say Patricia Coma could be a Cronenberg character, because in Cronenberg film, you have this irony also, you know, it's not only the horror stuff, you have the irony.
And maybe the last question is going back to reality. So did your daughter reply to your letter, and something influenced the making of the movie, or?
No, I mean, she's very shy with all this stuff, you know. So I don't think she will see the film, or not with me, maybe alone. But she was a little angry when I did the short movie first. And I say, well, I'm allowed to write a letter to who I want. You just don't have to read it. It's okay.
But you have that in mind while doing the film, that you you wanted to say something, or to target, or to talk with not necessarily your daughter, but somebody of a different generation, and try to pass.
Someone who's 18 now, and you know, life starts, and it's just, I wanted to give the message that, okay, it's very, very difficult. Many things are very difficult in the world, and more, but I trust your generation very much. It's basically that.
Yeah, well, I think it's perfect to end with trust, because the film is a lot about trust. There's also the trust that you ask your viewer to go from one piece of a story to another one, and it has in mind a modern viewer, not just a passive one. Somebody that expects one story to be told from A to B to C, but rather to compose the story and also to be lost. Because I think another element, maybe I would like to end off with this one, is also your film tells about the fear, but also the beauty, the pleasure in being lost, especially in limbo. So we feel all a little bit lost during this, but you managed to switch that in not only a negative way. I don't know if it's my feeling.
I hope so, because me, when I like to be lost in the films of other people, you know, lost as long as everything that you see interests you, you know, and then at the end of the film, you understand why you took this path, why the director took this path. And there are many stories, but at the end there is only one picture in a way.
Perfect ending. Thank you. Thank you, Bertrand, and we'll see you in Berlin, and we will have time to talk more about your film, about other films, and enjoying the festival together.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Carlo.
Bye-bye.
Bye.